they're investing in lending companies, which, in my opinion, destroys the initial idea of P2P investments as such. So we are here to change the game.
Why they're coming to us and not going to the bank? Everything very simple. First of all, for us to confirm a deal, it takes about one and a half months. For the bank, up to half a year.
Going back to the target investor, or who is it, or who basically individuals who want or plan to become financially independent, or they already are.
If we're talking about the NPLs, which is discounted debts, and is our second product, we're talking about buying already bad debtors from the banks and from the funds for the mortgages they issued before, in order for the clients to buy. So yes, as I mentioned before, NPLs is more profitable, but without cash flow, but more profitable.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our new podcast that we named the Investment Democracy Talks. My name is Paul. Myself and Ingrid will be hosting this series in the future. And these series are linked to an Indemo investment platform that has recently launched, and we plan to provide these insights into specific investment products that will be available on the platform. A few words about myself. I've been in the finance industry for more than 20 years, mainly in trading and asset management roles. I'm currently a partner in an asset management company, and our company is also a co-investor in the Indemo platform. I'm looking forward to doing this, and I hope this podcast will be received well.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Ingrid, and I'm thrilled to be both the host of this podcast and a private investor. Originally hailing from Riga, I bring with me a wealth of professional experience in finance, technology, legal, and project management. I have always had a love for podcasts, even before it became popularized. So what excites me the most is the opportunity to connect with driven and passionate professionals who share my interest in investment. And I'm excited for what's to come. And I wish us all the best of luck.
Yeah, so every single podcast will be related to a particular investment product. And we're still working on a precise format of how we going to do this. So if anyone has any suggestions or criticism, please let us know, because that's the only way we could improve this.
Yes, and in this podcast, we'll talk about Indemo platform itself a little bit. And it's my pleasure to introduce the CEO and co-founder of Indemo joining us today. Sergey, could you please take a moment to share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and your role in Indemo and your professional background?
Yeah, hi folks. Thanks. Greetings, Indemo community. I'm glad to greet you in the first Investment Democracy Talk, podcast number 1. Shortly about me. So I'm CEO and co-founder of Indemo investment firm. Personally, I have been in investments and financial services industry for almost 15 years, spending my career both in banking and fintechs. For the last 1.5 years, I'm basically from the very beginning, I'm with Indemo and driving this fintech to launching the platform and going out for business. From academic point of view, my background is legal, so I'm a lawyer. I'm an investment services regulatory lawyer, but currently I'm more engaged in company management and making it running smoothly. Thanks.
Thank you, Sergey. And today we'll talk about a particular product, discounted debt investment in Spanish real estate market. And the servicing company running the business is called Tamarindo Vector SL. And I'm excited to introduce Ilya. Ilya, we would love to hear about your position within the company and your professional background. Could you please share that with us?
Greetings to everybody from Spain. Yeah, my name is Ilya. I'm CEO of Tamarindo Vector, which is a company, a loan originator and loan servicer based here in Spain. Professionally, for the past 13 years, I'm in the financial banking sector. currently connected to the mortgages, which is also part of it. I'm with Tamarina from the beginning for the past 4 years. My, let's say, educational background, I'm civil engineer. That's what helps me to work with real estate and to understand what's happening with real estate as well. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Ilya.
Yeah, so maybe we could come back to Sergey's just quickly. Indemo is you're the CEO of Indemo, so maybe you could give us like a mission statement of the startup company. Why is it called that way?
Sure. So Indemo stands for investment democracy. So our mission is to offer investments for the people. This means that retail investor will get access to investment opportunities usually reserved for institutional investors and high net worth individuals. The product, which will be mentioned a batch of times today, the discounted debt investments, is among the first being introduced by Indemo.
If I may, Sergey, I will ask a question about the regulation. Is your platform regulated, and by which regulation entity? And more broadly, what kind of protection would investors of the platform enjoy? And is there any investor compensation scheme?
Yeah, so let's start with the status of the Indemo, what it is, what it stands. So Indemo.eu, it's an investment platform which is operated by Indemo CEO, which is an investment firm authorized and supervised by the Central Bank of Latvia, which is our regulator, which basically means quite serious and comprehensive operational license. This license or this authorization is a quite common type of license for investment services providers which operating all over EU, which also allows us to provide services and attract clients in other EU member states on so-called cross-border status or basis. It's about the status when we speak about the protection or security which such license or such service provision setup gives to investors. Take it from the start. First of all, when you cooperate or invest through such licensed market players, as we are, you get several things like listing them. It is first of all that all C-level executive and shareholders, equity shareholders, they pass the so-called fit and proper check. Basically, the regulator checks their backgrounds, their soundness, their reputation. So not giving or not allowing some strange people to get to this area. Also, we have plenty of different audits, external and internal. So we have the financial audit, we have specific purpose audit. For example, annually, the external auditor checks how we hold or how we protect investor cash funds, that we hold them separately from our funds, that we use special bank accounts. Also, the regulatory capital, which is also a significant thing, that in our case, it's more than 150,000 euro. We need to hold them in cash on the bank account. We don't allow to touch them. And of course, you just mentioned the national investor compensation system is also thing which is offered to investor in case the service provider defaults or it's like scam or make some negligent operations towards the investors. So putting in the nutshell, then it's pretty clear that it's more beneficial for investor to invest through licensed and supervised platforms rather than non-licensed one.
Okay. So I'm guessing you've been working on the platform for quite some time, right? Is it close to attracting investors? Is it live? And how long have you been working on it?
Yeah, Paul, so we started working on Indemo concept in 2021. So it's almost 2 years. So we are engaged in building Indemo. So hopefully now we open the registrations and the products are available for investors to try them out, which is greetings, like it's a major thing for all the team, for the whole Indemo team. So basically how we build this machine, we from the very beginning devoted quite significant resources in both the user experience and design. Also, we built powerful and proprietary core and engine in terms of technology. And also the corporate governance was also priority for us. So the management team of Indemo consists very senior investment services professionals in the region. In terms of the next steps, as we just launched. Then our plan is to expand our operation to the key investor market. For us, they are Germany, Spain, and other EU member states, which will mean for us devoting resources to platform localization, establishing relations with local investors, and investing in digital marketing channels. With the license and setup we have and the rights under the setup, I'm basically rights to provide services cross-border to other member states. I am more than sure that we can make it quite well.
Thank you, Sergey. And talking about the think of the Indemo, what is the big trick of the platform along with the many others investment platforms? Could you please tell us more about the products you offer, and additionally, what sets this product apart from others on the market?
So in our case, we went from the product side. So we started building the Indemo concept from the product, which is very good. I'm not going too much in details and leaving room for Ila because he's a product owner. Basically, he delivers products to us, provides supply. We start with already mentioned discounted debt investments. This product is unseen before on the retail landscape. Basically, investor will get access to debt products created by high street banks on one hand. And on the other hand, Indemo platform will provide different tools and information sources allowing investors to explore the investment opportunities and basically adopt informed investment decision and not investing in so-called black box. Fortunately, what we see from the market, it's something that became reality in P2P industry now, and investors actually do not invest in loans. It's risk and return anymore. They are investing in lending companies, which, in my opinion, destroys the initial idea of P2P investments as such. So we are here to change the game.
Right. That's a nice summary. So I think it's a good time to actually talk about the first product, right? Which is, as we've mentioned before, is basically the discounted debts. And let's switch to Ilya. Ilya, maybe you could do a quick one-sentence description of your company. Like, give us your company's mission statement, please.
Sure. We as a Tamarin director, as I already mentioned, we're a Spanish company. We're licensed by Central Bank of Spain to issue non-banking mortgages, which allows us as well to buy non-performing loans, NPLs, from banks and different funds, and to treat them in the way the mortgage loan should be treated. So let's say a one sentence in the mission of our company: to generate our own loans and to purchase and buy already existing non-performing loans from other services or generators. That's the statement as you asked me to.
Can you tell us more about your experience in this industry, and specifically, how long have you been involved and have you been a part of this company since its inception?
So yeah, Tamarin the Vector itself is 4 years old, and I am in the company from the very beginning, running it as an administrator and CEO, and also standing as a representative of the company in front of the regulators that we're currently should respond to, like Central Bank of Spain and different AML regulators that we're also are responding to as well.
Thanks. So my understanding is that your company will be offering two products on the Indemo platform. One is the discounted debts and the other one is asset-backed loans. So maybe you could just briefly give us an insight of the differences between the two products.
Yeah, sure. I will start from the second one, from the asset-backed loans, which actually is the mortgage loan generated by us. It's a little bit different from a classical mortgage that you hear about that the banks are giving, because banks are giving for buying. We're giving a loan against fully owned real estate. In our case, our basic terms are around, well, let's say the terms and conditions that we're offering is the interest rate of 10 to 12%, with the loan to value around 30-35%. And we are always a first mortgage. So who are coming to us, different kind of clients. The classical profile is a developer, medium or small developer, or a real estate owner who needs some additional money to refurbish. But let's say the main idea of the client who is coming to us to sell or to rent apartment at the end. You might ask why they're not why they're coming to us and not going to the bank. Everything very simple. First of all, for us to confirm a deal, it takes about one and a half months. For the bank, up to half a year. So during this period, our classic client normally is selling his real estate and then paying us back the loan, or it's refinancing himself in the bank when he's getting an approval from the bank. So where, let's say, some kind of a between different stages solution for the client. The main idea of the product is that the mortgage loan is generating a monthly cash flow, which is then paid back to the investor. If we're talking about the NPLs, which is discounted debts, and is our second product, we're talking about buying already bad debtors from the banks and from the funds for the mortgages they issued before in order for their clients to buy the real estate. So in our case, we're talking mainly about second residence, summer houses, or different real estate objects which were bought in order to rent them to use for some kind of additional cash flow, some kind of additional income. So we're buying them from the banks with a discount. Why the banks are selling it to us? Well, because they want to have some off balance of the bad security that they have in their balances. And the banks are not ready to service and to treat those customers and those loans. We're having experience with that. We're ready to give more personal attitude for the bad debtor. So it's some kind of a win-win situation. The banks can get rid of the bad assets from the one side, and we are ready to talk to the bad debtor from the other side. Where is the profit, you might ask for us? Here, we're coming back to the one point that I mentioned before. We're buying with a discount. With a discount from the debt, with a discount from the real estate value. And here, where we have a margin in order to negotiate with the debtor. We're ready to spend time, we're ready to find him, and we are ready to negotiate. But what differs this particular product from the one mentioned before, that it does not produce cash flow, because you have an income, the investor had income only at the end, but it's a bit higher than the income from the loans that are generating a cash flow.
Maybe what kind of debts are we looking at here? And do we work with particular banks? And what kind of return on investment should investor expect?
Well, as mentioned above, the NPLs that we're working with at the classic mortgage that some time ago a client took from the bank, and due to different circumstances, different reasons, is not able to pay it back. So we're coming to we do not have, let's say, one bank we're buying. We're working with all top 10 banks here in the country, like Sabadell, Caixa, Banco, Santander, all different kind of banks, and as well big funds which used to purchase the portfolio of NPLs before and now are also selling part of their portfolios to the second hand like us. Like, for example, there is a fund called Taxactor, or there is a Sareb, which is not the bank, it's an institution that is holding, and the biggest, let's say, holder of the bank bad loans, which is accumulating bank bad loans. If we're talking about the return, it's around 15% per annum for the investor, reminding that, for example, for the credits, it's around 10. So yes, as I mentioned before, NPLs is more profitable, but without cash flow, but more profitable.
Thank you, Ile. But as I understand, it's mainly Spain right now, and the loans you make are in the residential space. And do you have any plans to expand into other geographical markets? And maybe you could also give us a quick overview of the Spanish residential market.
Yes, sure. For that, I will need to turn on some pictures to make our conversation more pleasant to all of us and not look only on our beautiful faces. Starting to answering your question, Our current license allows us to work on the Spanish market. And to be honest, here we feel ourselves like fish in the water. So the Portuguese market also might be interesting for us, but we're still in the process of investigation what's happening there, because the country is smaller, the population is smaller. And nevertheless, in Spain, we have a population of 45 million people. So still we have some work to do here. To give you, some indicators and to follow up the mentioned above customer profiles, which we're talking about, let's look what was happening on the Spanish market regarding the year 2022. What we see that's, let's make it as simple. The prices goes up even now, and it was rising in 2022. The average increase of the price was about 5%. What about 5% in general, if we're talking about big cities and big city centers like Barcelona, Madrid, Sevilla, let's say top 5 cities in the country, there, in some cases, the rates of the prices for buying was up to 10%. If we're talking about new development, it increased on around the prices in a new developed house. It increased for about 8% per square meter. So also a very important indicator is the amount of mortgages that was taken by the clients, even to year 2022, when the interest rate of the in Europe was raised by the Central European Bank, and let's say geopolitical situation, people are still buying and people intended to buy more. And we're talking about 2 billion euro markets in this particular case. So also what is very important is foreign residential demand over total residential demand. What does it mean? The foreigners that want to buy or want to rent a real estate in the country, the amount and the number of these foreigners is quite high. So we see that the influence which is done on the market is not only done by the citizens and the people who are living in Spain, but also from the outside. This country is becoming more and more attractive to foreigners, not only because of the current situation in the world, but as well, let's say the pandemic period brought some changes. People prefer to work from their home when they see sun in the window, but not rains. Like, for example, in Northern European region or in Great Britain. Nothing against Great Britain, but the weather there is much worse than here.
Okay, so you mentioned the global situation, and obviously that's something on people's minds these days, with interest rates going up and, all sorts of troubles everywhere. Do you see these developments as a problem for your business? And maybe you could tell us what's the threshold would be in terms of state prices where, troubles start for you?
Yeah, we saw that in 2000, let's say the mortgage rate, interest rate in the end of 2021 is a completely different story from the average mortgage interest rate that the people are having now in 2023 and used to have during the 2022, even though the average interest was raised on more than between 1.5, 1.7% plus Euribor, and the banks are offering, we can see that the amount of transactions was the biggest one and the largest one in the comparison of the period for the past 5 years. So we can see that the average amount of transactions in buying, the average amount of transactions in obtaining mortgages, and the average amount of transactions in the sense of renting are higher than in any year for the past 5 years, which I think is a good indicator. Somebody can tell that it's a bubble, that the prices are going up, the interest for buying, but at the same time, the interest rate is high. But let's say living in the situation and how I feel from the inside, I just see that the offer is lower than the need, than the request from the customers. Also taking the consideration that about 15% of the demand, as you can see, is from foreigners and from, let's say, from the wealthy countries of Europe, like Germany, France, and United Kingdom. As you can see, it's the top countries which are coming here and searching for real estate, where to live. So the situation is quite good. If we look in 2022, there was a bit of decrease due to reasons that we know, COVID from 2020 until, let's say, the period, the time when the doors were opened and the borders were opened again. So during this period, yes, the prices were going down, but now we see that we have reached the pre-pandemic numbers, and we do not hope, it's a fact that they're still going up. So the situation is quite good. If we're talking about development is also rising, because in Spain particularly, there is lack of residential real estate. The population is quite big. The amount of houses and block of flats, let's say, is smaller than needs.
Ilya, that's interesting. And I believe that this type of product is typically available only to large clients. How big is the overall portfolio right now? And how many properties do you have in your portfolio currently?
Well, currently our portfolio is around 60 million, both, let's say, loans and NPLs. If we're talking about particular properties, it's around 600 properties in the portfolio. Different kind of flats, residential houses, and also commercial real estate. If we will look on the split, we will see that the collateral type that we're currently owning, the majority, yes, it's a flat and it's residential flats. It's also residential houses. And then we have different kinds of commercial real estate, like houses that are, let's say, houses for rent, the tourist real estate. It's also a residential real estate. We need to understand that as well. But shops, restaurants, different kind of warehouses, it's more or less 13% of our portfolio, which is also a good diversification in this sense. Yeah, just if we're talking about the split between the collateral that we're all owning, we're also, for people to understand that it's not only big cities and big regions in Spain. We're working all over Spain. Let me find the split between the regions. Here it is. So you can see that, yes, top is the top, and we prefer to search for real estate in the biggest cities like Barcelona, Madrid, but also in the popular cities between not only tourism, but coming back to the foreigners' demand. We're also going in the places where the foreigners prefer to live, like south of Spain, Malaga or Balearic or Canarian Islands. You probably might heard that, because I'm receiving these questions from the people outside of Spain. Oh, it's south because of the pandemic situation and because of the world crisis, the prices didn't go down. As we see, the reality, it's not true. Even so, the demand is quite high, not only in the area of foreigners, also for the people who are living here in Spain, who prefer sometimes to change the city of living, or who can offer to live not in a crowded big city, who wants to have a little bit calm around him, and also using this kind of places where to live. But as you can see, that diversification, not only in the sense of real estate type, but also in the sense of the region and the place where this real estate is located.
Okay, thank you. So from the point of view of an investor in the Indemo platform, what would be what an investor buying this product, would he or she effectively become the owner of the secured debt that's being bought from the bank? How does the legal side of the product work, and what kind of interest would the Tamarindo pay or the Indemo platform pay? Maybe you can explain.
Yeah, sure. It might be, on the one hand, quite complicated structure, so I prefer to show it in visuals. So investors on Indemo, they will invest in securities. We call them notes. It's asset-backed security, basically, where investor, by investing in security, get exposure to risk and return of the underlying asset. In case of discounted debt product, the underlying asset would be the discounted mortgage or a defaulted mortgage loan, which just was described by. To create such security and offer to investor, there should be the cooperation structure where there's several parties or several players are involved. First of all, let's start from the right side. So on the right side, what we see is there is a lending company. Under the lending company called the cooperation partners, with whom Indemo has cooperation relations. Basically, the Tamarindo Vector, which is represented today by Ile, it's our first cooperation partner with whom we start. But with time going, there will be also other partners joining. So in this structure, just described the lending company. It obtains or buys on the secondary market mortgage debt from the high street banks, and these debts are managed on their portfolio. At one point, the lending company would like to offer for investors, Indemo investors, to invest in such opportunities. And for this purpose, we create the security, which means that under the Indemo group, we have SPV issue, which dear investors you will see in the offering documents. So this SPV issue, it obtains loan receivables, basically the debts or part of the debt, and issue the security or note on Indemo through Indemo system, which then becomes available for investment on the platform. Investors choose the node which they would like to invest. I should say that each node composes at least 8 different debts. So by default, there is diversification embodied into the node. So investor will not be able to invest just in one debt. They will be entitled to invest only in 8 of them. Then, of course, when investor decides which node or basically which underlying assets he prefer or likes or makes some informed investment decision, then he in our UX of platform agrees to invest. And basically, he invests the relevant funds, and the relevant funds are being collected by the lending company, which can use it for their next business operations. From the time of the repayment, when the servicing or lending company exits from the debt, basically collects or work out the debt and gets a monetary return, then it is being allocated according to the terms provided in the offering documents. So in our node setup, discounted debt setup, the return from the debt is being divided or profit shared between the lending company, which makes all the underground work to get the return, and investors, what you will see also in the offering documents. So basically what it is in a simple way to describe how the structure looks. On the right side, as you see that the servicing lending company provides or performs their business operations under supervision of Central Bank of Spain. On the other hand, Indemo and SPV issuer, we are both Indemo group company. It's operates under supervision of the Central Bank of Latvia. So it's question about the structure, about the return. Pavel, you know, in our business and especially in my position, I'm not allowed to guarantee or solicit any return, and like past return doesn't guarantee the future return. But when basically we are a manufacturer of this product, we need also provide different assumptions, different scenarios how this product could perform. We have 4 different scenarios. One of it, we call it moderate. Under moderate scenario, we use different assumptions on the time term, how long it takes to work out or get the return under the debt. We try to make the assumption on the possible return, I mean, the amount of this profit being made on the exit. And under this moderate scenario, for the first stock which will be available on the platform as of launch, the return or return on investment is forecasted at 15% per annum. Yeah, as I told, it's just an assumption, and the investor, of course, should understand that this is alternative investment product. There is no guaranteed return, and also like should understand the product where they are investing. Probably I covered all questions questions under this topic you wanted to ask.
Yeah,
Yes.
so a particular investor will not be able to choose the actual properties, backed by the debt that is being bought, right? It's gonna be something chosen by our Spanish colleagues. Is that correct?
There will be supply of nodes. Of course, from the very beginning, there will be not a big variety of nodes available. The new partners joining, of course, the supply and selection will be
sorry,
much. Yeah.
sorry, Sergey. What I mean is, in terms of the discounted debt product, this particular now, it will be Ilya and the Indemo guys choosing the actual properties, the actual debts that will be bought, right? It's not going to be like, well, I want this property or that property. There will be no choice for the investor, right? They will list them, and basically an investor would have to make that choice, right?
Yeah, so the list of objects will be embodied in the node. So investor will not be allowed or like the possibility to like mix different objects within the one node. Of course, investor, if he doesn't like any like 1 or 2 or 3 objects in this node, he could decide and go and invest in another node which doesn't have such objects and have other one. So it will be basically the setup which will be available to investors on the Indemo.
And coming back to Ilya, I see he's raising his hand.
Just
so maybe
to add one thing regarding this moment, who is choosing and what is chosen, and how all this work is done. I just want to assure the future investors that yes, the objects is on the first hand bought by us, but all the risk management, let's say, that we're doing in the sense of understanding what we're buying is very, very professional. We're not just looking on the real estate itself. We're also checking, the quality of the real estate, a very beautiful apartment or very beautiful house. No, we also do risk management of the location, the infrastructure of the city, town, region where it is placed, as well as sometimes the political situation in this particular place. For sure, we're investigating the current court status and the legal proceeding that is happening with this non-performing loan. And also we're trying to find out who is the true debtor. So if there are any particular problems that we might have, not only in the sense of, let's say, court proceeding and the legal proceeding, but also in the sense of the personality. But one thing to remember, which I haven't mentioned during my speech, let's say, that the mortgage loan that we're working here with, and as a result, the legal proceeding that is happening here is one of the most respectful laws in the country. So if everything was done properly, what I mean by the contract, the first mortgage contract was signed properly, which was certified by the notary. This loan was registered in the land registry. It means that we're just fulfilling the legal proceeding, which secure, let's say, the investor for and I'd say that it secures 1000% from losing the money, because anything can happen. Different situations might appear, as we know, for the past year. But if everything was done properly, everything is okay, and our risk management, which is truly was done correctly, then we see no problem in getting back investments with the profit. So yes.
Thank you, Ilya. That's really important things you mentioned. And tell us, what is your evaluation of business model success in terms of figures, such as the return on investment for your existing substantial investors, shareholders, or creditors?
As I have mentioned before, 2 products that we have, and based on the history, as I agree with Sergey, and for sure Paul will agree with us, you cannot promise anything what will appear and happen in the future, but the return on the generated loans, the product with cash flow, is around 10% per annum for the investor. If we're talking about non-performing loans, it is discounted debts. It's around 15% per annum. Just to repeat, the first product is with a generated cash flow. The second one is without generated cash flow. Risks are, let's say, in some cases different, which means that the profit is also different. The same when you're going and putting deposit in the bank or you're buying some investment products. The philosophy is the same.
Thank you. You've mentioned the geography of your total portfolio, but maybe you could tell us about the first batch of discounted debts that you're looking to buy. What are the properties in that first note? What geography? What kind of properties? Thank you. That's for Ilya.
Yeah, I understood that. That's for me. Well, if we're talking about the first credit note that is going to be on the platform, it's made out of residential real estate. So you will see no commercial real estate there. And yes, it's residential flats, residential houses, which are placed in, let's call it mostly the east coast of Spain. So it's Catalonia, it's Valencia, it's east coast of Andalusia. Probably, I'm not sure. I think some Balearic Islands like Mallorca is also mentioned there. But you need to understand that in Spain, what is good, there is no big centers which might give you understanding that only in this place the real estate is good. No, there are some of small cities, but very well known all around the Spain. And you know that there is always a demand on real estate there as well. So, and sometimes, on the other hand, you might, when we're choosing, as I have mentioned before, what to buy, we might see the point somewhere in the center of the city. Even so, the house might be not so bad, but sometimes question of infrastructure, sometimes it's a question of the streets, the shops that are nearby. So we can evaluate this real estate less interesting than the one that will be placed in the small, let's say, village that is used by locals to spend their vacation there. Vacation, which is also very respectful and important part of the people's life here.
Yes, that's true. Spain is always a good idea for vacation. How do you treat bad loans? What is the local legal regulation when enforcing receivables from this kind of investment? And maybe you can describe the worst case scenario, legal aspects and repossession procedures, and maybe we could look at a particular case you had for Kala.
Well, let's say that credit itself is treated in two ways. A standard, let's say, legal proceeding, we're talking about the discounted debts, and negotiation with the debtor, which is also done in a legal way, just for everybody to understand. But you have paperwork and you have talking work. So if we're talking, and if we have, first we're trying to find, let's say, the debtor himself, because not always in the court you have the other side in front of you, because sometimes people are not living in the country. Sometimes people are not existing in this world due to some biological reasons, let's call it like this. In this case, you're just fulfilling the legal proceeding, a very specific steps that need to be done in order to reach the auction, where either the third party will come and will buy this asset, nor we will become the owner of the real estate, and we will then sell it on the market. But this is not the goal that we're trying to reach, because we're not real estate agency. That's one story. So just fulfill step by step the legal proceeding. Yes, sometimes when there is a person in front of you, there is a debtor with a lawyer, might be different kind of oppositions, might be different kind of fights against the penalties that were accrued or the legal fees that were accrued. But we always need to keep in mind, if the first contract, the first notary deed by which this loan was issued was done properly and in the correct form, there will be no problem. So you as a creditor, you will win the case. It's might take time, and the time is, let's say, the worst enemy for us in this particular cases, is a worst enemy for us in this particular cases. But if everything was done properly, you will receive back the capital and accrued interest, penalties, and legal fees. Also, it's true that sometimes the contract was done not very accurately. But in this case, we remember the second thing. First, we bought this debt with a discount from the capital, with a discount from the debt. And there is a very straight and understanding in the Spanish law system. If I have given you money, you must return it back. Even though the court might say, okay, we raise the penalties because they're abusive. Their legal fees are unfair, but you need to return the capital. Let's imagine what will happen. Now we're a little bit moving to the worst scenario. The client is making oppositions. The contract, which was checked by us, and we made mistake, which is almost impossible. We have a very, very serious risk management understanding that if we will do this kind of mistake, people will stop believing us, and it made us some problems. But worst scenario. So we missed a small letter written, I don't know, with a specific ink that was not visible in the beginning. Let's imagine this. So the court is deciding that only the capital has to be returned. What does it mean? The client must return the money back. Does the client has this money? Probably no, because if he had, he would return the debt back, or at least would try to pay all the accrued debt in order to make this mortgage paid loan again. So we see this is the problem. What's happening from the legal perspective? We're putting, here it's called embargo, so we're putting an arrest on his real estate, which means that we're putting an arrest because he's not paying us back. What we can put an arrest on, we're putting it on the object that was used in order to give this money. So let's say we're just continuing another legal proceeding, which then at the end will reach the auction, and the debtor will lose his real estate anyway. So yes, the investor might come and ask, so why not everybody is ready to negotiate? Well, this is a very open question. You can ask this question any non-payer that you meet on the street. Why you are not paying, or why you are not ready to reach any kind of agreement. Unfortunately, I cannot dig in the head of the debtor, but I can assure that we have a very specific, a very concrete legal steps, and let's say steps and talking steps in order to either reach an agreement nor to sell this apartment, house, or a commercial real estate on the market or on the auction. The worst enemy, I'll repeat, is time. But we know how to work with this enemy. We know how to treat debtors. We know how to behave in the courts. We know how to talk to the lawyers of the second part, on the second side of the debtor. I mean.
Right. So it sounds like the legal expertise is key to the success of your business. So do you hire external legal professionals, or do you have your own team? What's your approach?
Yes, we do hire an external legal companies because we have an office all over Spain. So, and we have an internal lawyer who is managing these different kinds of legal teams that we're hiring. It's a normal practice here. Let's say, I will tell it's a common practice here that you're hiring somebody to stand for you in front of the court, keeping in mind and remembering the mortgage loan, and all the legal proceeding is very specific, step by step, that should be done. It's not a Hollywood movie that you're standing in front of the jury saying he needs to pay, and there is an answer, no, I won't pay. No, it's a standard legal proceeding, so no problem to hire somebody, even for for assisting during our risk management and due diligence of before buying the portfolio of NPLs.
You have a bunch of people you've worked with over the years, right? So it's not like you're
Sure,
looking for new ones.
Who knows our contracts, who used to, let's say, used to work before that in the banks, and they know how the bank mortgage looks like, and we have experience with these companies, which is not, we're not searching for somebody new each time we're going to the court. No.
Thank you, Ilya, for this broad explanation. And Sergey, I'd like to return to a previous topic. Can you explain to our listeners how they can invest in this opportunity? Who would be the ideal investor, and what risks should they be aware of when investing in such an opportunity?
Our target investor, of course, is a person who responsibly treats their personal finances and uses different asset classes for managing their personal investment portfolio, as well as who abide to the gold-plated rule of all investments, basically diversification. In our case, in case of Indemo offered notes, as I just mentioned in a while, the note will give diversification by default, as there will be at least 8 objects embodied. Going back to the target investor, or who is it, or who basically individuals who want or plan to become financially independent, or they already are. The target investors like to adopt informed investment decision, explore each investment opportunity they would like to invest, and of course independently collect and analyze wide information scope from different and especially independent sources. This is why our design and development team devoted very much resources and time in building Indemo user experience and interface, and also inventing or adding different information tools and sources on the platform, making the investment opportunities which will be offered on the platform transparent for the community which will use them. As we promote investment democracy for our investors, the starting step to try our products and invest is just €10. So it's starting point to invest. So anyone can try and make some conclusions on this opportunity. It's on the target market. Target investors, which we see will be our trusted customers and clients. On the risk sides, as usual with any investment products, especially with alternative investment products, several or a batch of investment risks present, which each investor should keep in mind before making investment. For example, one of them or several of them would be that such investments are illiquid. There is no market, there is no stock exchange available for them, so investors should be ready to hold them up to the maturity or the actual maturity. Also, there is no guaranteed return, and the return is dependent on the performance of the underlying assets. In our case, it's discounted debts, which we just went through in details. And of course, the return cannot be foreseen, and also the return or repayment date can be longer than it was expected initially. And of course, as with any investment opportunity, there is no guarantee to return back the investment funds. It is something that investors should bear in mind. And of course, I urge all investors to get acquainted with risk disclosures, which will be available already available on the website. Go through the offering documents, through the prospectus, and of course provide all required and true information during the suitability and appropriateness test within the onboarding procedures for us for the platform to evaluate whether such product as notes are suitable or appropriate for the investor's personal circumstances. And of course, if he gets the warning that such investments are not suitable for them, they should decide and take it into account, and probably maybe if they're not available, they're not suitable, then choose something else. Yeah, so I suppose it's the things which I wanted to raise during the things you asked.
Thank you. So Sergey, maybe you could take us through a typical onboarding process just to show people what they should expect when they,
Yeah, sure. So I will show the main functionalities of the platform. The onboarding is fully streamlined online process. So investors use the mobile device or the PC or the tablet, whatever, to go through the several steps. It will take from 5 up to 10, 15 minutes to go through them. So it's for the interest of the investors. Just mention suitability and appropriateness test and other things and compliance checks and everything to prevent some fraudulent activities. So it's something that the entrance door to the Indemo. The main functionalities of the platform, of course, I suggest and welcome investors to register on the platform and try them by themselves, explore it. But on my screen, you will see the look of the investment opportunity and the main functionality. So as we several times mentioned, the investment opportunities that the investor will invest will be security, the node. So here you see the main look of the security or node, which composes the 8 or at least 8 debts. Here in the aggregated view, you see the main details or main parameters of the security. When we go next, then the investor could open, I said, welcome everybody, of course, to open the more detailed view, because it is things that our design team was working for almost 1 year and making this design very beautiful and informative. So here investors could go through the debts which are embodied, see also the main metrics, the main parameters which each debt has. What is something new which was unseen before on the other platforms which focus on real estate investments. The investors will be able to invest on so-called map. So each investor chooses what he likes more. There will be 2 alternative views. One view is like just list of investment opportunities. The other is a list or the map view, where investors on the map could see all the real estates, mortgaged real estates, and choose the node which corresponds to the relevant objects on the geography he likes. Of course, there will be the things which we are allowed to disclose. There will be the look from the Google Maps. There will be the valuation scanned copy, so the independent valuator, the well-known Spanish valuation companies prepared valuation. We will not disclose the personal information, personal data, but the investor will be able to assess the valuations, the things like the assumptions on which the evaluator based his valuation. And of course, there will be also ability to check the big data or big data, which also provides the valuation in this particular region, provided by a service called Idealista, which is one of the, basically not one, it's a major service for real estate sale and purchase and lease in Spain, and not only in Spain, in Italy and also Portugal. So there will be, like as I told, several tools to explore, to check the transparency of the investment opportunities, the valuation provided, and forecast the potential return which this opportunity could bring to the investor. Of course, Ilya mentioned that the discounted debt is very tight, or basically is dependent on the legal procedure or the procedure how the exit from the debt is being performed. So it's very crucial to show investors the stages of the procedure. As Ilya mentioned, for a Spanish legal system, the civil process or debt recovery process is quite streamlined. So usually it goes through the standard points. We could imagine the train coming from, from Berlin to Paris, and then you will see like a batch of stations where it will make the steps. So the stages is something similar. So debt comes through different stages before it is being closed, whether pre-court or during the foreclosure auction or when it's being sold on the market. So it's something that our design team has invented and made it in a user interface. There will be the notification functionality, so investor each time he in his portfolio, he could check all the notifications, how far the procedure of recovery went during from his last visit and so on. So it's something that will give additional transparency, or I would say understanding where his investment is at the particular moment of the time. The last 2 things which I wanted to share, it's how to invest. There will be also how to invest functionality. It will will be automated portfolio management tool. So the investor who is willing to make their money to work and then get in the chair, get some cold beer and relax, he could launch the automated investment tool and provide insert the investing parameters or rules to follow, and the automated tool will make investments on behalf of the investor. And the investor could follow his result in his performance metrics available on the platform. And last one, of course, it's more the bureaucratic one, but still, as we are licensed and regulated investment services providers, then of course the documents and once again documents is the critical part of our business. So investor will be able to use or basically to get different disclosures, different legal documents, statements, tax statements, reports, and etc. So basically it will help for different reasons or different needs the investor might have. So it's on the side of the functionality. As I told, it was very short how to, but of course I suggest try it by yourself and register and go and check all the functionality which is out there.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
For diving us in. And yes, that's amazing talk. And I think we've explored new perspectives and gained a deeper understanding of the topic today. And our podcast aims to be a guide along the way to understand more about investment possibilities. And we are here to encourage curiosity and meaningful conversation and inspire to keep exploring the world of investment. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, guys. And we will catch you on the next episode. Paul, have anything to say?
Well, you've said everything. So thanks to everyone. And looking forward to doing this. If you have any, comments, please shoot away. We'll keep them in mind in the next recording.
Thank you, community.
Thank you, everybody.
I encourage you to register and try out the Indemo products. And see you in the next podcast. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.